Hey everybody, it's Aiden here once again, and welcome back to the channel, as it's time to put on the smooth jazz, get a smoky haze going through the room, and hop into the overpowered car of chat in a return to my real-world motorsport opinion series and Conversation Street ripoff, Pressing Issues. Now, unlike story time, which is told exactly how it happened, Pressing Issues is where I look at what's happened recently and offer my own opinions on stuff and give my own take on it. And then I allow you, the viewer, to continue the discussion in the comments. Now remember, just because my opinion might be different to yours, it doesn't mean I'm wrong. Nor does it mean that you are wrong, but this one's going to open a whole can of worms. So, 6-time world champion. The last time we heard that was in 2003 when Michael Schumacher won the championship for the 6th time, before taking his final and 7th in 2004. Now who out there thought that when a fresh-faced kid from Stevenage entered the sport in 2007, we'd be hearing that again? And I only ask that question because of the gap between Fangio's last title and Schumacher's 5th, which sounds like a composition of the classical period. Now Vettel and Prost got close, but the records still say that as a statistical package, Fangio and Schumacher were the two best. Until Sunday, that is. Now I know what some of you are thinking, but he's always had the best car. But here's the thing, he hasn't. 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012 and 2013 he didn't, and anyone that tries to say that they were the best cars on the grid is deluded. Now I know what you're thinking now, Hamilton fanboy. Nope, Juan Pablo Montoya. Try again. It's only since the start of the hybrid era that he's had OP machinery. 14, 15 and 16 his only rival was his teammate, and thanks to the same bad luck Rosberg had in 2014, it was only Rosberg that put a dent in the 100% hybrid championship record. And since 2017 and these new wide boy regulations in F1, the rivalry has now come from Sebastian Vettel and, within the last 12 months, Charles Leclerc. And I know what you're thinking. He never started at the back like Fernando or built a team like the Michael. Well, Damon Hill started his career in the 1993 Williams. Montoya had a decent Williams, yes, once upon a time that was a thing, and Charles Leclerc spent just one season in a Sauber before being given that rocket ship of a Ferrari. And Fangio only signed 1-year contract deal so he could hop from the best car to the best car every year. The sad truth, for people that say he got to jump straight into a decent McLaren at the start, is that Lewis's career has been a case of right place, right time. Now think about it. Had he joined Formula 1 2 years later and had the 2009 McLaren, he'd have been nowhere. And then everybody said he was a fool for leaving the prestigious, at the time, McLaren team and heading for a team that had only won one race. Then all of this happens. Ron Dennis thought he was good enough, but if the story time on Schumacher's first retirement is to be believed, then all of this is Luca de Montezemolo's fault, as all the fighting to try and get Kimi Raikkonen and Michael Schumacher together in the same team meant that Juan Pablo Montoya and Kimi Raikkonen left McLaren, and then Alonso and Hamilton came in. I reckon it's the most interesting one. And I know what you're thinking. Anyone would win in that car. Would they though? Lance Stroll, Marcus Ericsson, Taki Inui, Jean-Denis Delatraz? And I said this in the Storytime episodes about the MP44 and the Ferrari F2004. Put Michael Schumacher in one of those two super dominant Ferraris and watch it walk away with the title. And the same goes for Senna and Prost in that McLaren. But put one of the, with greatest respect, less talented drivers in that same car, they might win a race, they might win 3 or 4, but it will be in no way as easy as the Michael, Senna or Hamilton make it look. Bottas had the same car. But I know what you're thinking. Valtteri, it's James. Thing is, Bottas is Coulthard 2.0. Good enough for the best team, it just so happens that his teammate is superior and the guy driving the rival car is as well. Remove Lewis from the equation and Bottas has a much more difficult ride to the championship. Assuming Ferrari doesn't fuck it up. But thinking about it, what would Schumacher or Häkkinen have done in the 1996 Williams? Answers on a postcard, please. Let's face it, nobody, not Jackie Stewart, Graham Hill, Jim Clark, Fangio, Senna, Prost, Mansell, Schumacher, Vettel or Hamilton won their titles in a Minardi, or an Arrows, or a Marussia. You need a good car, you need a good team, and you need to consistently deliver. In his early years, Lewis was an Ayrton Senna clone. Drive as fast as possible all the bloody time. But more recently, he's added elements of Prost as well. Drive to the numbers. If you can't win the race, then maximise the amount of points you can and limit the damage. Consistency pays. No point in being the super fast guy if you're only going to get the results every 3 or 4 races. And yes, Lewis is a whiny bitch over the radio, but there's method to the madness. My tyres have gone, sets fastest lap. The engine's about to blow, finishes the season on the first engine of the season. But what he does is he convinces himself in his mind that the cause is lost and that's it. He's not going to do it. Then he finds something else inside and then just obliterates everybody. I mean, fuck it, if it works, keep doing it. If people still, after all this time, are dumb enough to believe his tyres are ruined, then more power to him. To win one title, you need talent and a bit of luck, as was the case in 2008. To win 6, you need a lot more. To say it's all been luck is again misguided. 13 straight years of luck? Not possible. Is that Glock? Yeah, that was luck. Everything else? No. The combination of a fantastic team and driver, that's all this is. But I guess it all depends on whether or not you like that driver. And I've already done a piece on how cancerous the F1 fan base has gotten in the last 2 years or so. Just replace Rosberg with Vettel and it's the same shit different year, but, you know, they're all as bad as each other. The only question that remains is, what if? What if next year that 6 becomes number 7 and he matches Schumacher for titles and in the process probably beats the win tally? It's unfair to compare the two drivers' careers. Lewis will have had more races a season than the Michael, and Michael in turn had more than Jackie Stewart and Jim Clark and so on. So the he's had more races a season argument for me carries no weight whatsoever for the reasons I've just outlined. And I can understand why people will be upset if the record is matched for titles and the amount of wins record falls. Because those records, well, they're Michael's. He was the first to do them. They're his. And it's something we as Formula 1 fans never thought would get close to being matched for some time. But Jackie Stewart said it in his Oxford Union address. Everyone is replaceable. Even the record holders. Sport doesn't give a shit who you are. You're replaceable. Take all the sporting records, irrespective of what sport it is. They're all beatable to an extent. Someone will beat Usain Bolt's 100-metre record. Petr Cech will have his clean sheet record beaten. Wayne Gretzky's goals will be beaten. Mike Trout will set records in baseball and someone will eventually beat Michael, and if it's Lewis, then someone in turn will beat him. But if Lewis does surpass Schumacher, for me, he has to do 2021. Like the Michael, he'll need dethroning. And I was talking to fellow sim racer and commentator Lewis McGlade last week, and we came to an agreement during the Mexican Grand Prix. Like Michael, Lewis needs to be dethroned before he retires. Otherwise, the next guy to win the title will be forever labelled as the guy who won the title because there was no Lewis Hamilton on the grid. Whether that's Valtteri, Charles, Max or Sebastian, assuming he hasn't also retired. Now, I've been watching Formula 1 for 25 years, and I can honestly say that without a doubt, Lewis Hamilton is the most naturally gifted driver I've seen in that time. Now, obviously, there are caveats to that claim. You know, his early career is much more accessible online. There's clips of him racing karts, that GP2 race in Turkey, and so on. But I know what you're thinking. What about Schumacher? Yes, Schumacher is in the top 3. But he's let down because of those little indiscretions, let's say. As a complete driver, Lewis has to be top. And I can't say much about Senna because I only saw him race for 7 laps. True story. I couldn't give a fuck about his hair, the Tommy Hilfiger clothing line, the tattoos, the hanging out with people I've never heard of, the earrings and whatever. His battle with Nico Rosberg at Bahrain in 2014 is proof that he can race. His comeback drive at Turkey in GP2 is a showcase of how much better on the brakes he is compared to the rest of the field. His race pace has become just as good as his qualifying pace, and his consistently is pretty much unrivaled compared to the rest of the grid. Sure, he has a bit of a sulk when things go the wrong way, but the same thing happened with Senna and Schumacher. Winners do not like losing, and it pushes them harder to win more. Add to the fact that the Mercedes team is the epitome of the word team and possibly the greatest in history of the sport, then you have what we've seen in the last few years. Lewis Hamilton, love or hate, is set to be one of the legends of the sport. Now, notice how I didn't say the, but one of the. And he will be missed when he's gone. Or you could just ignore everything I've just said, downvote it because it's not what you wanted to hear and claim everything was down to the car. Look, I really don't give a fuck. You don't have to like him, but he at least deserves some respect. But still, I would like to hear your thoughts in the comments. After all, that's why I do Pressing Issues. So with all that said, that's my opinions on the recent 6th world title win by Lewis Hamilton. If you think my arguments are reasoned enough, then give this video a like, and if you want to see more rambling or more from this storytime business I do, then click subscribe so you get all the latest. Thanks as always go out to my patrons on Patreon, and if you want to join them or join the Discord shitposting or follow me on social media or there's a lot of ors there, everything required is in the description for you. So until next time, I've been Aidan Moord, have a great day wherever you live in the world, and goodbye.